Seth Willie, and I'm gonna show you a clip right now about what I planned to do yesterday. Oh hi, this is Seth Willie. Tomorrow, or later today, I'm going to do the Boston Auto Show if I feel well. I might say getting over something, maybe, so we'll see. I plan to go to the auto show with my cousin. This is gonna be our yearly pilgrimage we do. We go down to Boston International Auto Show, and I was gonna give you great content on new cars and walking on the show and stuff. But I got too sick. What you're hearing is asthma. But I really had kind of like a cold flu thing, and I elected not to go, which really makes me angry because this is my cousin and I have been going to the show for 21 years. This would have been the 21st year, and it's our thing. So I'm here drinking water, and the opening clip is me pouring some, emergency into a glass of Diet Coke, and that's usually how I take emergency, because the carbonation of the Diet Coke makes me feel better, and Coke settles your stomach. So that's what that is. And like I said, I wanted to go to the car show, but this is exactly like what happened to me in 2013. I went to the car show in 2013. It was around January 23rd, so it went with spitting distance. That's next week. And I went to the car show. I started getting really sick at the car show, loopy, not really knowing where I was. Well, I knew where I was, but you know what I mean when you get sick. And when I came back, I passed out in my house, wound up in the ER, and they admitted me. And I thought it was just like asthma, and I was sick, but I was really, really sick. I was so sick that I was in quarantine, and furthermore, I did not know I was in quarantine. Well, I knew I was in a single, but I couldn't think of the word quarantine, and that for me, not being able to think of something that means I'm really sick. So if I have pictures, I'll put them here. Obviously, I get out of the hospital, but that was my closest call, and it's because I didn't get a flu shot. But this year I got a flu shot because I've been getting flu shots since 2013, and this one isn't effective. So when I called my boss, and she said, "But you're never sick," and I was thinking, no, it's not that I'm never sick. I'm only sick between January, February. There's a lot of weather fluctuations in January and February in northern New England, and that triggers my asthma and just gets me sick almost every time. Maybe I should move. Yeah, I remember specific incidents like 1998 when I went for my Dartmouth interview. I couldn't talk to the director of the program. They didn't even know whether I could use a computer, and obviously, I have a website back then, and now I'm on the computer editing videos all the time, so that was bad. I still got in, of course. I must have had great wrecks. You know, I was sick in 2001 before I graduated from Dartmouth, and that was really important because it was on the weekend when the Zen Tops were killed. So I got back to campus and crap, there were cops around and it just wasn't like Dartmouth. And Dartmouth I knew. That was pretty scary. It was almost like a precursor of 9/11 for me. But I didn't know, well, none of us knew 9/11 was coming. Since then I've gotten sick like in 2002 and 2013, so it's always around this time. It's always the weather snaps. It's always asthma related. I didn't want to be landing in the hospital this year, or I would be making this vlog from the hospital if I were lucid enough to do so. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I gotta move sometime. But I'm drinking fluids and I'm still well, not seeing the cars because I love cars. But, you know, my health. I can't do a follow me around because it's basically me sleeping, me getting tanked that night while I'm just sagging out for a while. Yeah, but this is my first sick day, probably since 2013, literally, probably, yeah, and that's why my boss was freaking out because, you know, she's never ever seen me. She's never ever seen me take a sick day. So it's obviously I need to take more asthma meds, and I think I should have a mandatory vacation that I apply for each year this time of the year, because last year I was in LA visiting Frank. My friend Frank, I will have to do a vlog on him. He was one of my closest Dartmouth friends. He lives in LA now, so last year I shot out to see him in January, and that probably saved my butt. And I've done that a couple of times. This tells me that I have to continue to do that kind of thing and maybe shoot down the siege out. My life's gotta change because one of these times I'm not going to be so lucky. You know, I've been lucky up until this month, but sometimes luck runs out, you never know. Speaking of that, this is Martin Luther King Day. I would like to do a shout out or a remembrance of Delores or Riordan, Lovely Cranberries. I loved your songs, and I'm gonna miss you because, you know, when I was a teenager, I used to sit in my room and play guitar to your songs all the time. It was, the Cranberries really are a great resource to learn how to play guitar because the chords are simple. They're basically power chords, bar chords, and just chords like G and just nothing weird, nothing hard, and you can really rock out to them. I mean, you could, like Salvation, or what is the song in F? I keep on forgetting the song in F. I Can't Be With You. And you can like just thrash on your guitar and get your teenage angst or whatever out. And you didn't have to be slashed to play their songs. And, you know, It was just fun. It was liberating. Thank you for making my childhood, well, teenage, collegehood, whatever, more easier on me. To have another outlet to express myself through your music. Now, they're not telling us why she died, and it just makes me think the worst, because they didn't tell us how Prince died, and they didn't tell us how Robin Williams died initially. So I'm thinking it's one of those two reasons. I'm hoping not, but there's no reason why a 46-year-old woman dies suddenly. They can die in a car crash. They can die from cancer. But they don't really just spontaneously die. Unless it's what I'm thinking about. And I hope it's not. But it probably is. Hate to end this vlog on a downer, but it's downer Monday. The good thing about it is maybe you have the day off because it's Martin Luther King Day, and he was a great man. People are slagging him for cheating on his wife, but I don't think that detracts from what he actually did for people of color. I just think it's unfortunate, and it happens a lot. It can happen to any of us, but it doesn't totally make our lives worthless. It's just unfortunate. That's what it is. It's unfortunate. But Martin Luther King was an amazing man, and without him, I still think we would have separate bathrooms, separate drinking fountains, and people not allowed to sit at the lunch counter, not allowed to ride in the front of the bus. And well, I have the story. Hopefully it's quick. My dad went to grad school in Colorado in the early 70s, and one of those times they were out, and my parents took a bus from, I think, LA to somewhere in the South, and they were amongst all these Freedom Riders. The Freedom Riders were largely black people, largely faith-based, Baptists and whatnot, all going to marches for civil rights marches, and my parents were lucky enough to be on the bus just because they needed to be on the bus, and they heard the amens all night long, and it's really inspiring. And that's the little glimpse into a piece of American history, and that we rely so much on today. I mean, were it not for the civil rights movements, I wouldn't probably be vlogging to you. I probably wouldn't have gone to school or Dartmouth, or, I wouldn't have known any of my friends from school, or anyone. I would likely be shut up in a state school. Hopefully not. Hopefully my parents would have rescued me like they did when, they wouldn't have let me go to state school, because that's their educators. But this whole thing, all the social advances we've made, are a linchpin to the civil rights movement to Martin Luther King. So enjoy your freedom and try to make it better. Try to make it a better world. If you like this video, click like, thumbs up, subscribe, visit my new Instagram link in my dialogue box below, and all my gear is there if you like to see that I'm filming this on the G7X, my new favorite camera. Sorry, old, this is my old, not old, but this is my 70D, and I love it, but something about the Digic 7 processor of this G7X, which looks awesome, even though I'm blown out in the back to the skylight. So have a good day and enjoy yourselves, and I'll be here with another vlog.